spectacular catch. And he's got it. How'd he get that? The catch made by Chad Owens one-handed. Oh my goodness. Touchdown. A run by John Quivers. Long distance. Riley to Bowman. Ball carries down the sideline. Unbelievable. What a run by Jonathan Jennings. And a foot race. Is good. Looking deep. Wow, catch. Oh, we are back in Winnipeg. The Blue Bombers.
Welcome to the CFL's All-Decade Awards, where we celebrate the top players and top games of the last 10 years. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, how did we figure all this out? Well, we had a panel of experts, which included, obviously, some journalists, some alumni, and yes, you, the fan, to determine who was the best of the best from 2010 to 2019. You can see the full list of nominees on our website, cfl.ca. A dream team, a fantasy team, if you will, of 29 players and one coach who over the last 10 years brought fans to their feet. It's the CFL All-Decade Team, and it's brought to you by Leo Vegas. Let's find out who made the cut. They're often the heartbeat of the defense, really the heartbeat of the team, and in the last 10 years, we have seen some of the most statistically dominant CFL linebackers of all time. Adam Bighill rose to prominence in 2012 when he took over the starting linebacker job in BC. Bighill seized the opportunity and ended the year being named a League All-Star. He would earn 5 more League All-Star nods and would win the CFL's Most Outstanding Defensive Player twice in the decade, once in 2015 and again in 2018, his first year with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Chip Cox had 4 years in the league under his belt when the decade began, then spent the next 9 as the cornerstone of the Montreal Alouettes' dominant defense. A versatile defender that played every position in the secondary throughout his career, Cox was a true Sam cover linebacker that just had a nose for the ball. The CFL's most outstanding defensive player in 2013, Cox is the Owls' all-time leader in career tackles, most single-season tackles, and most defensive tackles in a single game with 13. Solomon Elimimian made an impact in the league when he was named the most outstanding rookie back in 2010. Followed it up with a Grey Cup championship the following year, then took home the most outstanding player award in 2014 as the first exclusively defensive player to ever do so. He finished his career in BC as the team's all-time leader in tackles and is now a leader in a versatile Saskatchewan linebacking group.
It's a tremendous honor and a blessing to be recognized as part of the CFL's All-Decade Team. I'd like to thank God for this award. I believe this award really symbolizes the level of support I've had throughout my career, from coaches and teammates, and most importantly, my family and my friends. As part of the CFL PA, we are doing everything we can to get back on the field in 21 and kick things off right. Thank you.
Let's zoom on over to returners. He's known as Speedy B, and with a name like that, he doesn't disappoint. The compact Brandon Banks towers over all other nominees with 13 special teams touchdowns, 7 coming on punt returns, 1 on a kick return, and 5 more following a missed field goal. The 4-time All-Star was also named the CFL's most outstanding player in 2019. Moving to offensive tackle. Jovan Olafioye joined the BC Lions for the 2010 season and reeled off 7 straight seasons where he was a CFL West All-Star and 5 straight starting in 2011 where he was a CFL All-Star, highlighted by his 2012 season where he was named the CFL's most outstanding offensive lineman. Stanley Bryant split the decade between the Calgary Stampeders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and won Grey Cups with both clubs. The 5-time All-Star was named the league's outstanding lineman in 2017 and 2018. So let's move back to the defensive side of the game to take some time to name our top defensive ends. Charleston Hughes broke into the league in 2008 and won a Grey Cup with the Calgary Stampeders, and his career has only ascended since then. He's a 6-time CFL All-Star, and on 4 occasions he's led the league in sacks, including the last 2 seasons, proving he's still performing at the peak of his powers. John Bowman already had 4 seasons under his belt when the decade began, but the career Alouette continued to excel for the next 10 years as one of the league's best pass rushers. The Alouettes' all-time sack leader accumulated 105 sacks in the decade, trailing only Hughes, who racked up 119. Let's get to the DBs of the decade. Javon Johnson joined the league in 2007 and already had one All-Star season under his belt when the decade began, and posted his second All-Star campaign in 2011 with the Blue Bombers. That year, he became the first DB to ever be named the CFL's most outstanding defensive player. Dalvin Breaux is the only DB on this list that is still active, and he could very well etch his name on next decade's list. His numbers don't jump off the page simply because quarterbacks rarely throw his way. He's been an East All-Star in 3 of the 4 seasons he's been in Hamilton, and a League All-Star twice. This past decade began with Ryan Phillips, already well established as a premier shutdown defender, and he continued to excel with All-Star seasons in 2010, 2012, 2013. The durable back missed only 4 games in his 12-year career and retired with many all-time records for the Lions, including most interception return yards in a season, in a career, most defensive touchdowns, and most interceptions in a season. Brandon Smith spent the entire decade with the Calgary Stampeders, making a position-best 158 starts while making 587 tackles, dwarfing the next closest player by 146 tackles. With 631 tackles in his full 12-year career, he's in the top 20 all-time for tackles. Okay, now time for a quick break, but when we return, we are going to reveal which receivers made the CFL All-Decade team presented by Leo Vegas. Stay tuned.
For 107 years, every Grey Cup moment has included you, the fan. This is your league. Through fog and rain, in tragedy and triumph, you are the foundation of this league. Now take your place in history. Etch your name on the Grey Cup fan base. Become a part of the Grey Cup's legacy. Add your name and raise the cup.
Welcome back to the All-Decade Awards, and this position group might be the toughest because it is a passing league. Let's take a look at the receivers who stuffed the stat pages since 2010. With just under 10,000 yards and 57 touchdowns, S.J. Green, who won Grey Cups in both Montreal and Toronto during the decade, was the picture of consistency and has continued to play at a high level, completing an all-star season in 2017 when he returned from a potentially career-ending knee injury to catapult the Argos to a championship. Weston Dressler and Manny Arsenault are tied for second with 50 touchdowns each in the decade, with Dressler posting 5 seasons with over 1,000 yards, while the Manny Show featured 4 seasons over that plateau for the Lions, including a career-high 1,566 yards in 2016. Dressler was the perfect mix of big play receiver and possession pass catcher. Nick Lewis started the decade reeling off 3 straight All-Star seasons, putting up over 1,200 yards each year. Injuries cut short his 2013 season, and 2014 saw diminishing returns for Lewis. A move to the Montreal Alouettes saw Lewis put on one more big season with 1,136 yards receiving in 2016. He finished his career as the league's all-time leader in receptions with 1,051. Adarius Bowman accumulated the second most yards in the decade after Green with 8,208 and 40 touchdowns, while leading the league with 1,456 yards in 2014, and then reeling in an Edmonton club record 120 catches and 1,716 yards in 2016 to lead the league again.
I want to thank you guys so much for giving me the opportunity to be a part of a great group of guys on this all-decade list. Next, I want to thank my parents, the city of Chattanooga, Tennessee, Notre Dame High School, North Carolina University, Oklahoma State University. Special thanks to Coach Gundy and Gunnar Brewer out there. Next, that leads me to the great country of Canada. I want to thank you guys so much for giving a young guy from Chattanooga, Tennessee, the opportunity to blossom and grow as a man. I want to give a special thanks to the city of Edmonton for it's now home for me. I want to thank my beautiful wife, my 2 daughters, with another member on the way soon. We love you guys so much. I hope everybody's safe and healthy at home, and have a great day. Thanks again. Say bye, girls. Say bye. Bye-bye.
The last line of defense on a defense, but we're not going to leave them to last. Let's get to safety. Craig Butler fell to the second round of the 2011 draft, but made teams pay for passing him up. The Riders were the benefactor as the Western product was a Division All-Star in his rookie campaign and helped bring a Grey Cup home to Regina in 2013. He closed out his career as a veteran leader in Hamilton, where he quarterbacked a stout Ticats defense, adding 2 more Division All-Star nods in the process. Moving to special teams, Riverview, New Brunswick native Mike Miller went undrafted after a U Sports career with the Acadia Axemen and entered the league as a free agent with Edmonton in 2011. He won his first Grey Cup in 2015, then led the league in special teams tackles with 27 the following year. He joined the Blue Bombers in 2017 and put up back-to-back seasons of 22 special teams tackles. Then, in 2019, set a CFL record with 7 special team tackles in a single game. He would cap off that season with his second Grey Cup championship. Now it's time to make a bit of a transition. Let's get to the top 2 defensive tackles of the decade. Armando Sewell earned a reputation as one of the most feared defensive tackles in the league shortly after arriving in Edmonton in 2012. He reeled off 5 straight All-Star seasons, starting in 2013, then added a 6th in 2019 and a Grey Cup ring in 2015, cementing his spot on the All-Decade team. Montreal native Ted Laurent began his career also in Edmonton, but blossomed into an All-Star after joining the Hamilton Tiger Cats in 2014. During that first year in the Hammer, Laurent captured the Lou Heyman Trophy as the most outstanding Canadian in the East Division, thanks in part to a career-best 9 sacks that season as a force in the interior of the Hamilton defensive line. We saw some tremendous kickers this decade, which is why the competition in this very category is so fierce. Here's an example. Lewis Ward, of the Ottawa Red Blacks, shattered the professional football record for consecutive made field goals at 69, and he's not even one of our 2 finalists from the last 10 years. Longtime Calgary Stampeder Rene Paredes and Justin Medlock, currently with the Bombers, posted incredible numbers this past decade, and most importantly, were as consistent as they come. This is a close call, and there probably isn't a wrong answer here, but with 86.41% of his kicks going through and 1,388 points, the nod goes to Justin Medlock.
Very humbled, very blessed, and thankful to be able to get an opportunity to be able to play in the CFL. Such a great, amazing country with so many great, amazing kickers. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
While the place kicking category was a tight race, when it comes to punting, it was a much easier call for a special Canadian. 2-time All-Star and Grey Cup champ Rob Maver spent his full career with the Stampeders. The Bantam native, when paired with Paredes, gave the Stamps the most consistent kicking duo in the league and helped bring his team to 4 Grey Cup games in the decade while earning his 2 rings. So a center makes all the line calls, tackles make all the money, but guards are essential to good offensive line play, and these guys were the best over the last 10 years. Brendan Labatt is the only nominee to play all 10 years, and he's the only guard in the decade to capture the Outstanding Offensive Lineman Award, which he got in 2013. Labatt won a Grey Cup with the Riders in 2013, and his 6 All-Star team selections make him by far the most decorated at his position for the decade. Burlington, Ontario native Ryan Bombin has spent his entire career close to home playing for the Alouettes, Tiger Cats, and Argonauts. Bombin has been a model of consistency, suiting up for a position-best 155 games in the decade while being named an Eastern All-Star 4 times. So now for my favorite position, running back. And this is pretty telling, as the last decade has all been about Canadian running backs being featured in a way that they hadn't really been previously. So it makes sense. It was a 2-horse race between 2 Canadian guys, and the winner was a homegrown guy playing in his city, Andrew Harris, representing Winnipeg as the starter on the All-Decade team. Harris started his career in BC and announced his arrival as the most outstanding Canadian at the 2011 Grey Cup. He took his career to new heights after signing with his hometown Blue Bombers. Harris racked up 9,038 yards along the ground in the decade and another 5,100 receiving, while posting a combined 76 touchdowns. The 5-time All-Star has led the league in rushing the last 3 seasons, was named the most outstanding Canadian in 2017, the Grey Cup most valuable Canadian in 2011 and 2019, and the Grey Cup MVP in 2019. That same year, he climbed into the top 10 for all-time rushing yards and he already had become the all-time leader for yards from scrimmage by a Canadian player.
First off, I just want to say thank you for all the support. It takes a team of coaches, my teammates, and people that helped me get through the grassroots to be where I'm at today. A lot of hard work, determination, and I appreciate the votes. Thank you.
Time for a break, but before we do, just a reminder, we're not just naming the best players of the decade, we're also naming the game of the decade, presented to you by Dr. Oker Giuseppe Pizzeria, as voted by you, the fans. So as we go, here's the contest you chose as the decade's best.
Today, the rematch on the prairie. The Rona Canada Day CFL season kickoff as the Saskatchewan Roughriders meet the defending Grey Cup champion, Montreal Alouettes. The 2010 season underway. Roughrider 39, a lot of time, and a wide open receiver. Terry Watkins, touchdown. Durant steps up, look downfield, Rob Bang in stride, and Rob Bang is going to score. And now it is game on. AC into the end zone, Alexander, he's got it. S.J. Green beats Donovan Alexander in the corner. They still need one more play. Back that way, it's incomplete. Oh, what a catch! How did he catch that? That is the catch of the year right now. S.J. Green has tied the game when that ball looked like it was out of reach. Play action, looks downfield, West to Dressler, catch! Is it a touchdown? They'll mark him at the 2. What a spectacular catch by Dressler. Now for the win. From the 3. They go. Now it's Cates. Oh, Dressler touchdown. And the Rough Riders have gained the measure of revenge in the most remarkable fashion. Rough Riders were down by 21, but they roared back to win in overtime.
We're back at it. It's time to talk about the anchor of the offensive line, center. Edmonton, Alberta native John Gott began his career just down Highway 2 in Calgary, where he spent 5 seasons before his trade to the Ottawa Red Blacks. Joining the team for their inaugural season in 2014, Gott's professionalism and hard work made him the heart and soul of the locker room. The two-time All-Star took home the Leo Dunduran Trophy for the league's most outstanding lineman in 2016, along with a Grey Cup championship. Gott would also make our all-decade Selly team for his epic 2018 touchdown celebration that saw him swipe a beer from his girlfriend in the crowd, chug it, then crush the empty on his helmet. CFL fans were blessed with some exceptional play behind center this decade. All of these quarterbacks are Hall of Fame talents. We got to see legends like Anthony Calvillo and Ricky Ray wrap up careers as Hall of Famers. We got 9 years of Mike Riley putting up a decade-best 31,522 passing yards. We got to watch Henry Burris throw 174 TDs in the decade, putting him atop the list, but there was only room for one QB on our all-decade team, and one man rose above them all. Bo Levi Mitchell went 77-18 in a decade for an astounding .804 winning percentage for the Calgary Stampeders. He's a 2-time most outstanding player, a 2-time Grey Cup MVP, and set league records for the most consecutive wins by a QB, and became the fastest QB to record 60 wins, completing that feat in just 72 games. At just 30 years of age, it's crazy to think that Bo could be in the mix 10 years from now during the next all-decade team.
Hey, what's going on? Bo Levi Mitchell here. To all the CFL fans, all the media, man, thank you guys. Such a cool idea with the all-decade team put together by Leo Vegas and the CFL. Thank you again. It's pretty cool to see the body of work that my teammates and I get represented over these past 8 years. It's been a hell of a run, and look forward to making that happen for another decade. So thank you guys. Huff, Dave, man, appreciate you guys. All the glory goes to y'all, man. Thanks.
So who's going to coach all of these talented players? And this one really should come as no surprise. He's the only Hall of Famer on this list. John Hufnagel coached the Stamps for 6 seasons in the past decade and led them to a 79-29 record and Grey Cup championship in 2014. After the 2015 season, Hufnagel stepped down as coach so he could focus on his general manager duties in Calgary and remains the second winningest coach in franchise history and has the most wins of any coach who spent his entire career with one team. There you have it. That's the CFL All-Decade Team brought to you by Leo Vegas. And yes, I can sense it. Please don't scream at your screen. Don't mention me. If you're upset that your favorite player is not on this list, don't fret. Just go to cfl.ca/all-decade because this is just the first team. The second team is on our website where you can see the other 29 players who are on. It's been an incredible decade in the CFL, as you've seen, and a big part of that is because of you, the fan, which is why the best is yet to come for the league. So we should probably do this again in another 10 years. But I love doing this with you right now. The CFL All-Decade Team brought to you by Leo Vegas. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Donovan Bennett. Take care.